Hi, everyone. This is a band that is new to me today, Snow Patrol. I don't even know where they're from. Oh, and the song is Chasing Cars. Okay. Snow Patrol are a Northern Irish-Scottish rock band formed in 1994 in Dundee, Scotland. I don't know. It's been a while since I listened to some Scottish rock group. Have I ever listened to a Scottish rock group? I don't even know. During the course of their career, Snow Patrol have won 7 Meteor Ireland Music Awards and been nominated for 6 Brit Awards and 1 Grammy. Chasing Cars was released as the second single of their 4th album, Eyes Open, from 2006. At the 49th Annual Grammy Awards in 2007, Chasing Cars was nominated for Best Rock Song, and at the 2007 Brit Awards, it was nominated for Best British Single. It has also sold 3,900,000 copies in the US by January of 1915, making it one of the top best-selling rock songs in the digital era. Wow, okay. Well, let's see what an Irish rock group sounds like.
We'll do it all, everything on our own. We don't need anything or anyone. If I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? I don't quite know how to say how I feel. Those 3 words are said too much. They're not enough. If I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? Forget what we're told before we get too old. Show me a garden that's bursting into life. Let's waste time chasing cars around our heads. If I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? All that I am, all that I ever was, is here in your perfect eyes. They're all I can see. I don't know where, confused about how as well. Just know that these things will never change for us at all. If I lay here, if I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world?
Okay, I am going to go back and go through a bit of this because as it got started, I was kind of intrigued. And then partway through, I started thinking, this feels a bit formulaic. And I chose then not to interrupt because I wanted to hear how the pacing developed and what happened. Would it break out of this kind of formulaic feeling to me? And so I decided not to interrupt. Now let's go back through and I'll point out some of what was going through my mind as I was listening. The first thing I noticed is how quickly the voice came in. There wasn't any real introduction. There was the setup of a like dum bum 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 bum, but they didn't let us linger on that too long. They wanted us to really notice the voice, and they brought the voice in right away. So it's about the voice and the lyrics and what is being sung. Those are the ideas that they're really sending us towards, to pay attention to. I noticed that right away, and I felt that they did a really great job of simply pointing us that direction.
We'll do it all, everything on our own.
And the other thing I noticed was his voice. Okay, it doesn't strike me as a really unique voice, but I have to say it's a pretty nice voice. It has a nice tone and kind of a vibrancy to it, which sounds very much alive. Sometimes when people sing in this style, I feel like, okay, could they do something to liven themselves up? This has a sort of life in the vibrancy of it that made it so that I could actually enjoy listening to this voice.
On our own. We don't
Is that a little stopwatch there?
anything or anyone.
Little textural
If I
stuff.
lay here,
Okay. So, notice how these lyrics are being delivered. This is so different from, say, the Beatles or Queen or any of those classic era bands where there is a melody being sung which sounds like a composed melody. This is more like it's tending towards almost chant style. It's very modern style. I don't know exactly when this style developed. I don't know exactly where it came from. That is something that I intend to dig into at some point along this journey, but it's not happening right here today. I've commented on this type of singing before, with, for example, Taylor Swift and some of the other modern female artists that I've listened to. I guess this is the first time that I've heard a modern male singer kind of digging into this style, which lets me know, okay, it's not just the domain of the female singers, but these short bites of melody. We'll do it all, everything on our own. We don't need anything or anyone. If I lay here, it's just kind of a couple notes to carry an idea, but the idea isn't even really carried through to its end. It is chopped up in pieces. It's like somebody took let's say a piece of string and cut it into little 1-inch pieces and spread them out, you could say it's like the dotted line down the middle of the road. And if you are traveling fast enough, you don't really notice the fact that that dotted line is chopped up. It doesn't feel choppy. But let's say you are an ant crawling along the road. You experience every little stripe as its own journey, and then every gap between as another journey, right? So that's a grand exaggeration. But when we sing like this, or when we hear something sung like this, how we experience it has a lot to do with its pace. And this is kind of a middle pace. It's not an ant crawling pace. Neither is it a car driving pace. What should I say it is? Maybe it's a what's Vlad saying?
Grasshopper.
A grasshopper? Possibly. I was thinking more like maybe a butterfly, kind of. Okay. Some creature traveling at a speed where each one is separate. We recognize that there is a sequence and that we are going from one to the other, but they're separated enough that we don't really follow the train of thought all the way through in one go. In fact, it's a bit difficult for me. If I didn't have the lyrics in front of me, it would be difficult for me to process this as a continuous train of thought. It sounds more like a kind of a little bit of this and then a bit of silence. Here, here, and it takes a bit of effort for me to gather it all together, remember what's been sung, and experience it as a whole. Well, that can be a negative or it can be a positive. In this piece of music, the overall sentiment is, in fact, we even get to a line where it says, those three words are said too much. And I find it a bit humorous that there are so many three-word or three-note phrases throughout this song. Those three words, how to say how I feel, don't quite know, just lay here, let's waste time. Oh, there we come to kind of the main message of the piece. Let's not be so absorbed in what we need to do, where we need to go, how we need to do it, that we miss the experience of just laying down. If I just lay here, would you lie with me and just forget the world? Forget what we're told before we get too old. Show me a garden that's bursting into life. Let's waste time chasing cars around in our heads. I need your grace to remind me to find my own. That's the message of the piece. And in a way, the way it's sung makes it a bit hard to follow the train of thought. But the music also forces us to kind of have this experience of not being directed, of kind of forgetting the world, of just laying here and chasing cars around in our heads. I mean, listen as this continues, where we're getting to a little different bit, but it still has the same.
If I lay here,
still a big gap.
If I just lay here,
and this is the most melodic sung part of the entire piece. Which, of course, that being the most melodic sung part of the piece, emphasizes this, would you lie with me and just forget the world? That becomes the focal point. And then we go chugging back into this. You can kind of hear the music of the butterfly wings flapping. It's not a bee, it's not a grasshopper hopping. It's kind of this slow flutter of butterfly wings.
I feel.
You hear all the empty
Those
space.
three words
These 3 words.
are said too much. They're not enough.
Right. So you get the point. It is built this way to make us have this experience through the listening to the piece. And so even though it is a rather, shall I say, modern formula way of singing, it works well for this piece, for this sentiment that's being, these ideas that are being expressed. And maybe that is why it has become such a feature of a lot of the modern music singers, because maybe it's a reflection of the fact that we in our lives feel this need to be kind of pulled back and separated from the world around us. We need this time to reflect, to simply be without any sort of mission or agenda or need to accomplish anything. Maybe it's just an idea. And since I have brought this up several times, as I've listened to various more modern singers, I'm sure, well, I feel like this is not the end of the discussion, but I feel like I would like to ask you to chime in with your thoughts about it. Where do you notice this style really beginning to happen in the stream of music? And what do you feel are the attractions to it and the reasons for it? And how do you relate to it in your musical experience? I am curious and I would love to hear your thoughts. So I feel like this is a perfect opportunity to open this discussion, and please write your comments below if you have something to say about it. It's something that I would like to explore a bit in the future. Well, there was my first time listening to Snow Patrol with Chasing Cars. Interesting they chose the title Chasing Cars, when so little of it is really about cars. It's more an expression of, again, well, as I said, let's waste time chasing cars around in our heads. I'd never heard that expression before. Is it something they made up? Is it maybe a Scottish expression? I don't know. But once you've heard the song, you understand the title. And so here we are. That was a fun listen, brought up some interesting ideas. First time with Snow Patrol, and I'll see you soon.